I woke up that Sunday morning and felt something wrong immediately. My pillow felt different. I reached up to push my hair from my face, but my fingers touched only smooth skin. Confused, I sat up and looked in the mirror across from my bed. The reflection staring back was a stranger, completely bald. Not one single hair remained on my head. My hands trembled as I touched my scalp. Then I saw it. A handwritten note on my nightstand. "Now you have the look that suits you, you ridiculous old woman." It was signed with a heart. Madison. I stumbled to my bathroom, gripping the marble countertop to steady myself. Under the bright vanity lights, the reality was even worse. Every hair on my head was gone. My eyebrows had disappeared too. I looked like a ghost of myself, pale and exposed in ways I had never imagined. My scalp burned with an angry red irritation, chemical burns that made my skin feel tight and raw. That was when I saw them. In the bathroom trash can, poorly hidden under tissue paper, were 3 empty bottles of industrial-strength hair removal cream, the kind that warns against skin contact. Someone had applied this to my entire head while I slept. My mind raced backward to the night before. Madison had stopped by my house around 9 in the evening. She had been so sweet, so attentive. "She brought me a special chamomile tea," she said, one her mother used to make. I remembered drinking it, feeling drowsy almost immediately. I had gone to bed earlier than usual, thinking I was just tired from wedding preparations. She had drugged me. My future daughter-in-law had drugged me in my own home, in my own bed, and stolen every hair from my head. On my son's wedding day, I grabbed my phone and called Timothy. It went straight to voicemail. Of course. He was probably already at the venue, handling last-minute details. I tried my daughter Diane next. Also voicemail. I left a frantic message, my voice shaking. "Diane, something terrible has happened. Madison did something to me. Call me back immediately." I looked at the clock. 8:30 in the morning. The wedding started at noon. I had 3.5 hours to figure out what to do. My first thought was a wig. I searched online for emergency wig services. Every shop within 50 miles was closed. Sunday morning. Of course they were closed. I tried department stores. Nothing opened before 10, and even then, finding a quality wig that matched my hair would take time I did not have. I pulled scarves from my closet, trying to style them elegantly around my head. Everything looked obvious, like I was hiding something shameful, which I suppose I was, but not by choice. Each attempt made me look more desperate, more pathetic. The thought of not attending crossed my mind. I could claim illness. But I was the mother of the groom. I had helped pay for half of this wedding. The elegant country club venue, the flowers, the band, all of it. I had been a member of Willow Creek Country Club for 30 years. These were my friends, my community. And then I remembered the trust transfer. Today, during the reception, I was scheduled to officially transfer $120 million into a trust for Timothy and Madison. My attorney, James Sullivan, was bringing the papers to the wedding. I had planned to announce it during the toasts, a grand gesture of love and support for my son's new marriage. That money represented half of everything my late husband Richard and I had built over 40 years. Real estate developments, careful investments, a life of hard work and smart decisions. I was giving it to my son because I loved him, because I wanted him to have security. But now, looking at my reflection, touching the cruel note Madison had left, I wondered what other plans she had. The doorbell rang. My heart jumped. I threw on a bathrobe and wrapped a silk scarf around my head, tucking it as best I could. When I opened the door, Madison stood there, looking radiant in casual clothes, her dark hair perfectly styled. "Good morning, Mother Ophelia," she said brightly, then gasped with theatrical shock. "Oh my God, what happened to you?" I stared at her. The audacity was breathtaking. "You know exactly what happened," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "I found your note." Her face transformed into perfect concern. Note? What note? Mother Ophelia, are you feeling all right? You look pale, and your head. She reached toward my scarf. I stepped back. Do not touch me. You drugged me last night. You used hair removal cream while I slept. You left a note calling me a ridiculous old woman. Madison's eyes widened. I would never do something like that. Mother Ophelia, you are scaring me. Are you having one of your episodes again? What episodes? What are you talking about? Before she could answer, Timothy's car pulled into my circular driveway. He got out, looking stressed and handsome in his casual clothes, his dark hair damp from a shower. Mom? Madison said you called her, sounding confused. What is going on? I pulled the scarf from my head. Timothy's face went white. Mom, oh my God. What happened? Madison did this, I said. She drugged me last night and removed all my hair while I slept. She left a note. Madison burst into tears. Real tears, streaming down her face. Timothy, I came to check on her because she called me at 3 a.m. saying strange things. I was worried. And now she is accusing me of this horrible thing. I would never hurt her. I love her. Timothy put his arm around Madison. Mom, did you call Madison at 3 a.m? No, of course not. Madison pulled out her phone, showed Timothy the screen. I could see from where I stood. A call log, my number, 3:14 a.m. A call that lasted 7 minutes. That is impossible, I said. I was asleep. Mom, Timothy said carefully, Madison told me last week that you have been saying some paranoid things. She said you accused her of moving things in your house, of going through your papers. She thought maybe you were under stress. That is not true. None of that is true. Madison wiped her eyes. Timothy, maybe we should call Dr. Roberts. Your mother clearly needs help. I do not need help. I need you to admit what you did. Timothy ran his hand through his hair, a gesture so like his father it made my heart ache. Mom, look, I don't not know what happened, but we have a wedding in 3 hours. Can we please just get through today? Please wear a wig or something, and try not to cause drama. The words stung like a slap. Try not to cause drama, as if I were the problem, as if I had done this to myself. Fine, I said quietly. Get off my property, both of you. After they left, I sat on my living room sofa and cried for the first time. Not about my hair, about my son, believing her over me. About how carefully Madison had planned this, planting seeds of doubt about my mental state for weeks, maybe months. She had set me up perfectly, and I had walked right into her trap. I made calls to every high-end salon within an hour's drive. Finally, a boutique in Riverside agreed to open early for an emergency appointment. I paid double the price, but by 11 o'clock, I had an expensive synthetic wig that roughly matched my natural silver blonde hair. It fit well enough. In the mirror, I looked almost like myself. Almost. I dressed in the champagne-colored mother of the groom dress I had selected months ago, pearls that Richard had given me on our 30th anniversary. I looked elegant. I looked fine. But underneath the careful facade, I was burning with humiliation and rage. I arrived at Willow Creek Country Club at 11:30. The venue was stunning. White roses everywhere, gauzy drapery, a string quartet playing softly. Everything I had helped plan. Everything I had helped pay for. But the moment I walked in, I knew something was wrong. People stared at me. Not the normal glances at the mother of the groom, but uncomfortable, pitying stares. Women I had known for 20 years looked at me with sympathy. Men nodded politely, but avoided eye contact. My sister Patricia approached me near the entrance. She took both my hands, her face full of concern. Honey, she said softly, Timothy told us you have been having some memory problems. How are you feeling today? Do you need to sit down? Memory problems. Patricia, I am fine. Timothy is mistaken. Of course, honey, she said in a tone that clearly meant she thought I was not fine at all. But maybe after the ceremony, we should talk about getting you some help. There is no shame in it. Our Aunt Helen had dementia, remember? It runs in families. I pulled my hands away. I do not have dementia. Madison did something terrible to me, and everyone is believing her lies. Patricia's face fell into deeper pity. Oh, sweetie, are you sure you did not just have a bad reaction to medication or something? Madison is such a sweet girl. She adores you. I realized then the full scope of Madison's preparation. She had told everyone I was losing my mind. She had been planting these stories for weeks or months, building a narrative where I was the confused, paranoid old woman, and she was the caring, patient daughter-in-law. I excused myself and went to find a quiet place to collect my thoughts. The bridal suite was empty. I slipped inside and sat on the white upholstered bench, my hands shaking. That was when I saw it. Madison's phone, sitting on the vanity counter. She must have left it there when getting ready. The screen was unlocked. I knew I should not look. It was an invasion of privacy. But something compelled me forward. I picked up the phone and saw the Messages app still open. A text thread with someone named Ashley. I scrolled up. Phase 1 complete. Madison had written yesterday. Old Bat is bald and humiliated. Drugged her at 9, used the cream at 11. Worked perfectly. Everyone thinks she is losing it. Ashley's response. And the trust transfer? Today, Madison wrote. Once she signs over the $120 million, Phase 2 starts. Get her declared incompetent and take control of everything. Timothy is clueless. So easy to manipulate. I kept scrolling, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might faint. Timothy is boring in bed, Madison had written 2 weeks ago. But he is a means to an end. Once I have full access to the family money, I will divorce him, maybe a year. Probably less, if I can speed up the mother's decline. More messages detailed how Madison had researched my net worth. $280 million total. She had lists of assets, account numbers, property deeds. She had been planning this for months. The mother is the key, she wrote. She controls everything. Once she is declared incompetent, I can move all assets into accounts I control. Timothy will sign anything I tell him to. Then the old woman can have an accident. Stairs are good. Or medication mix-up. Has to look natural. My hands shook so badly, I nearly dropped the phone. She was planning to kill me. This was not just about money or humiliation. Madison was planning my murder. I used my own phone to photograph every message, screen after screen of evidence. Madison's cruelty, her manipulation, her plans laid out in cold, calculating text messages. I heard voices outside the door. Quickly, I put Madison's phone back exactly where I found it and slipped out of the bridal suite. My mind was racing. I had evidence now, real evidence. But as I walked back toward the main reception area, I realized something. If I showed these messages to Timothy now, before the wedding, I would be ruining his wedding day. He might not even believe me. He might think I manipulated the phone somehow. No, I needed to be strategic. I would let the ceremony happen. Then, during the reception, when everyone was gathered, I would expose Madison with the evidence. The trust transfer would not happen, and Madison would face consequences for what she had done. I found my seat in the front row. Diane sat next to me, looking beautiful in her deep blue bridesmaid dress. "Mom, are you okay?" she whispered. "Timothy said you had some kind of incident this morning." "I am fine," I said firmly. "We will talk later." The music began. Everyone stood. Madison appeared at the back of the aisle, breathtaking, in an expensive white gown, her father Carl beside her. She looked like a princess. She looked innocent and pure. I watched her walk toward my son, knowing what she truly was, a predator, a murderer in waiting. The ceremony was beautiful. The officiant spoke about love and commitment. Timothy's vows were heartfelt, talking about partnership and forever. Madison's vows included a pointed comment. "I promise to care for your family as my own, even when they struggle with the challenges of aging. I will always be patient and kind." Guests nodded, many glancing at me with sympathy. She was doing it again, publicly reinforcing the narrative that I was declining, that she was the saint caring for her troubled mother-in-law. I sat through it all, my face composed, my rage carefully hidden. At the reception, people mingled with cocktails. The country club's ballroom was elegant, round tables with white linens, a dance floor, the band setting up. I stood near the windows, looking out at the golf course, trying to calm my racing heart. That was when James Sullivan arrived. My attorney, a distinguished man in his 60s, carrying a leather briefcase. He found me near the bar. "Ophelia," he said warmly. "Wonderful ceremony. I have the trust documents whenever you are ready. Should we find a private room?" Before I could answer, Timothy and Madison appeared beside us. Madison's smile was brilliant. "Mother Ophelia, we are so grateful for your generosity. Truly, this means everything to us." Timothy nodded. "Mom, Mr. Sullivan is here with the papers. Should we step into the private dining room to sign?" I hesitated. This was it, the moment Madison had been waiting for. If I refused now, I would look erratic and unstable, confirming everything she had been telling people. But if I went with them, I would have control. I could confront her privately with the evidence before any papers were signed. "Of course," I said. "Let us handle this now." We walked to a small private dining room off the main ballroom. James spread the documents across the mahogany table. $120 million, transferring from my control to a joint trust for Timothy and Madison Sullivan. I pretended to read through the pages carefully. "I seem to have forgotten my reading glasses," I said. "The print is quite small." Timothy shifted impatiently. "Mom, we have discussed this for months. You said you wanted to do this today. Everyone knows you are transferring the money. Are you changing your mind?" Madison touched his arm gently, then turned to me. Her voice was soft, almost threatening. "Mother Ophelia, are you going back on your word? That would be very disappointing." I reached into my clutch purse for my phone, ready to show them the screenshots. My purse was empty. My phone was gone. I looked up sharply. Madison was watching me, a tiny smile playing at her lips. When had she taken it? At some point in the crowd, bumping into me, apologizing sweetly. She had pickpocketed my phone. "Looking for something?" Madison asked innocently. My heart sank. All my evidence gone. I tried another approach. "Madison, I know what you have been planning. I know about your messages to Ashley. I know you drugged me, that you are planning to have me declared incompetent, that you want to steal everything." Madison's face crumpled. She turned to Timothy, tears already forming. "I cannot do this. Your mother is having another episode." "Mom," Timothy said, his voice strained. "Please, can we just get through today without accusations? I am telling you the truth. She is dangerous. She is planning to kill me." That was when Madison gasped and grabbed her arm. When she pulled her hand away, there were scratch marks, red and angry looking. "She attacked me," Madison whispered. "Timothy, she scratched me." "I did not touch her," I said. "She did that to herself." Timothy looked horrified. He pressed the call button for staff. Within moments, security arrived, along with several family members who had heard the commotion. Diane rushed in. "Mom, what is happening?" "Your mother attacked Madison," Timothy said, his voice shaking. "She accused her of trying to kill her. I think she is having some kind of breakdown." Dr. Roberts, a guest at the wedding and someone I had known for 15 years, came into the room. Madison, still crying, told him I seemed confused and violent. She mentioned my supposed late-night phone calls, my paranoid accusations. Dr. Roberts took me aside. "Ophelia, I want to help you, but you do not seem quite yourself today. Maybe you should go home, get some rest." "I am perfectly myself," I said, hearing the desperation in my voice and hating it. Madison drugged me. She removed my hair. She is planning to steal my money and kill me. The more I protested, the more unstable I sounded. Everyone was looking at me with pity and concern. No one believed me. Mom, Diane said gently, maybe you should leave. For today, we can sort this all out tomorrow. I am not leaving. This is my son's wedding. Madison whispered something to Timothy. He nodded, his face pale and sad. Mom, I am asking you to leave. Please, before this gets worse. My own son, asking me to leave his wedding. The wedding I had helped plan and pay for. I looked around the room at all these people who had known me for years, and not one of them believed me. Fine, I said quietly. I will leave. I walked out of that private room, through the reception where people parted like I carried a disease, and out into the parking lot. Diane followed me. Mom, wait. I turned. My daughter's face was conflicted, caught between believing me and believing what everyone else was saying. Diane, please tell me you believe me. She bit her lip. Mom, Madison, showed me some text messages. Really paranoid texts you supposedly sent her. And Timothy has been worried about you since Dad died. I never sent her any texts. She fabricated them or sent them from my phone. I want to believe you, Diane said softly. But Mom, there is something else. Timothy told me he gave you power of attorney for healthcare decisions. He said Madison suggested it last month when you were having trouble remembering appointments. I never signed power of attorney. I never had trouble remembering anything. Diane pulled out her phone, showed me a document. It looked official. My signature at the bottom, dated 3 weeks ago. But I had never seen this document before. Never signed it. That signature is forged, I said. Diane looked at me sadly. The way you look at someone you love, but can no longer help. Mom, there is going to be a competency hearing. Madison filed paperwork yesterday with the court. She says she is worried about you managing your finances. The hearing is in 3 days. Everything clicked into place. Madison had planned to get the trust transferred today, then immediately moved to have me declared incompetent to manage the rest of my assets. Once she had legal control, my life would not be worth much. Diane, you have to believe me. Madison is dangerous. My daughter hugged me. Get some rest, Mom. We will figure this out. She went back inside. I sat in my car in the country club parking lot, alone, defeated, terrified. I had lost control of everything. No evidence, no phone, no credibility. My family thought I was losing my mind. Legal machinery was moving to take away my independence. And somewhere inside that building, Madison was celebrating her victory. I drove home in a fog. My mansion in the wealthy Riverside Estates neighborhood felt empty and cold. Richard's presence used to fill this house, his laughter, his warmth. Now, it was just me, and silence, and fear. I spent the rest of that Sunday trying to rebuild my case. I called my personal attorney, James Sullivan, at home that evening. James, I did not sign those papers today. There was a long pause. Ophelia, I know. Timothy told me you left the reception. He said there was an incident. Madison is setting me up. She forged a power of attorney. She is planning to have me declared incompetent. I received notice of the competency hearing, James said carefully. It is scheduled for Wednesday at 9 in the morning. Ophelia, I have to be honest with you. Multiple people have signed affidavits expressing concern about your behavior. Dr. Roberts, your housekeeper Gloria, the manager at Willow Creek, even some of your friends. They have all been deceived or bribed. Perhaps, but from a legal standpoint, this does not look good. There is a pattern documented over several weeks. If you lose Wednesday's hearing, the court could appoint Madison as your conservator. That cannot happen, James. If she gets control, I am in danger. Real danger. Another pause. Ophelia, that is a serious accusation. Do you have any proof? She took my phone. There were messages on her phone proving everything, but I cannot access them now. I could hear the doubt in his silence. Even my own attorney was questioning my mental state. Look, he said finally, I will represent you at the hearing. We will do our best. But I have to tell you, you might want to consider a compromise. A trustee arrangement where you maintain some control, but have oversight. It might be better than fighting and losing everything. After we hung up, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat in Richard's study. His books lined the walls. Photos of our life together smiled at me from the desk. I had never felt more alone. Monday morning, Timothy came to the house. He looked exhausted, still in casual clothes. Madison was not with him. "Mom, we need to talk," he said. We sat in the living room. My son looked at me with such sadness it broke my heart. "I love you," he said. "I am worried about you, really worried. Timothy, I am not losing my mind." He pulled out his phone, showed me photos and videos. I watched, confused. Photos of me looking disheveled, apparently forgetting where I parked my car at the grocery store. A video of me talking to myself in the garden, except I had been on my Bluetooth headset taking a call. Another video where I seemed confused about the date. "You do not even remember these incidents, do you?" Timothy asked. "That is part of the problem, Mom. You are not aware of how much you have been declining. These are taken out of context, or edited, or staged. Madison has been patient. She loves you. She cried all last night because you accused her of these horrible things. We moved up the wedding date because she thought you should enjoy it while you still could remember things clearly. The manipulation was so complete, so thorough. Timothy truly believed he was helping his mother. He thought Madison was a saint." "She is not who you think she is," I said quietly. Timothy stood up. "The hearing is Wednesday. Please do not fight this, Mom. Let us get you the help you need. You can stay in your house, have a trustee help with finances, get medical support. It does not have to be scary." After he left, I sat there for a long time. I had built my entire fortune through intelligence and careful planning, but I had been outplayed by a 28-year-old woman with no conscience. I thought about giving up, just signing whatever papers they wanted, accepting whatever arrangements they demanded. At least I would still be alive, even if diminished. Then I thought about Richard. How hard we had worked. The sacrifices we made. I thought about letting Madison win, letting her steal everything we had built, maybe even end my life. No, I was not going to give up. That night, close to 11 o'clock, my doorbell rang. I almost did not answer, but something made me look through the peephole. A young woman stood there, someone I vaguely recognized. She was shaking, crying. I opened the door. "Can I help you?" "Mrs. Sullivan, my name is Jenna. I am Madison's younger sister. Can I please come in?" I could not stay quiet anymore. I let her in. We sat in my living room. Jenna was 25 years old, with Madison's dark hair but softer features. She twisted her hands nervously. "Madison did the same thing to our grandmother," Jenna said, the words tumbling out. 5 years ago, our grandmother was wealthy, had about $4 million. Madison moved in with her, convinced the family that Grandma had dementia, got control of her estate. Grandma died in a nursing home within a year. How did she die? They said it was a stroke. But Grandma was healthy before Madison got involved. And Madison inherited almost everything. I have been terrified of my sister ever since. Jenna opened her bag and pulled out folders of documents. Medical records showing their grandmother was mentally sound. Emails between Madison and a former boyfriend, plotting how to manipulate the elderly woman. Photos of Madison with various older wealthy men she had befriended. "This is Madison's pattern," Jenna explained. "She targets wealthy families. She gets close, usually through marriage or friendship. She eliminates the matriarch or patriarch, makes it look like natural causes or accidents. Then she takes the money and moves on." "Why are you telling me this now?" Tears streamed down Jenna's face. "Because our grandmother was a good person. She did not deserve what happened, and you do not deserve it either. I have been gathering evidence for years, but I was too scared to act. Madison is dangerous, Mrs. Sullivan. She threatened me once when I questioned her about Grandma's death, but I cannot let her do this again." Jenna showed me more evidence. A newspaper article about another elderly woman who died suspiciously after befriending Madison. Police had investigated, but found nothing conclusive. Credit card statements, showing Madison had purchased books about making deaths look natural, special chemicals, medications that could cause confusion, or mimic medical emergencies. After you transferred the trust today, she was going to move fast, Jenna said. Once she had legal control through the conservatorship, you probably had a month at most. The words chilled me. But they also gave me hope. I had an ally now, someone who believed me. And more importantly, I had evidence. The hearing is Wednesday morning, I said. Can you testify? Jenna nodded, though she looked terrified. Yes. I brought copies of everything. But Mrs. Sullivan, Madison will fight back. She always does. We worked through the night. I called James Sullivan at midnight. He came to my house, reviewed all of Jenna's evidence. His face grew more grim with each document. This is attempted murder, fraud, elder abuse on multiple victims, he said. We need to involve the police. If we go to police now, Jenna said, Madison will know I betrayed her. She will destroy evidence, disappear maybe. We need to catch her in the act, get her to confess, or make a mistake. The hearing, I said. If we present this evidence in court, with a judge present, Madison will be trapped. James nodded slowly. It is risky, but it might work. And if the police have been investigating any of these other deaths, this could give them probable cause for warrants. We prepared until dawn. Documents organized, testimony planned. Jenna was shaking with fear, but determined. I felt something I had not felt since Sunday morning, hope. Wednesday morning arrived cold and gray. I dressed carefully in a navy suit, professional and composed. James drove me to the courthouse. Jenna met us there, pale and nervous. Are you ready? I asked her. No, she admitted. But I am doing it anyway. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Judge Linda Morrison presiding, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and an air of no-nonsense authority. Madison and her attorney sat on one side. Timothy and Diane were there, looking uncomfortable. So were several people I recognized. Dr. Roberts, Gloria, my housekeeper, Brian, the manager from Willow Creek. Madison looked beautiful and innocent in a pale pink dress, her hair in a soft bun. She did not look at me. Timothy gave me a sad, apologetic glance. Madison's attorney stood up, presenting the petition for conservatorship. He laid out a convincing case, documented incidents of confusion, medical opinions, witness statements, the forged power of attorney that supposedly showed I recognized my own declining capacity. Then the witnesses testified. Dr. Roberts described concerning behaviors, memory lapses. He had been told by Madison that I was refusing medical evaluation, which was a sign of anosognosia, lack of awareness of one's own condition. Gloria, my housekeeper for 10 years, tearfully described finding me confused about what day it was, forgetting conversations we had just had. Later, I would learn Madison had paid her $5,000 for this testimony. Brian from the country club mentioned several times I had seemed disoriented, once could not remember where I parked my car. Each testimony built a picture of a woman in cognitive decline. Madison's attorney painted her as the caring, concerned daughter-in-law, trying to help, despite my paranoid accusations against her. Mrs. Madison Sullivan has shown remarkable patience, the attorney said, even after being physically attacked by Mrs. Ophelia Sullivan at the wedding reception. She remains committed to ensuring her mother-in-law receives appropriate care. I watched the judge's face. She was listening carefully, taking notes, her expression neutral. Then it was our turn. James stood up. Your Honor, I would like to call a witness. Jenna Palmer, the petitioner's younger sister. Madison's head snapped up. For the first time, her composure cracked. She saw Jenna standing up to approach the witness stand, and her face went pale. Objection, Madison's attorney said quickly. This witness is not on the approved list. She came forward yesterday with critical information about the petitioner's history, James said. Information directly relevant to these proceedings. Judge Morrison considered. I will allow preliminary testimony to determine relevance. Jenna took the stand, was sworn in. Her voice shook as she began speaking, but she was clear and detailed. She told the story of their grandmother, the same pattern of behavior, the accusations of dementia that proved false, the suspicious death, the inheritance Madison received. "Objection!" Madison's attorney jumped up. "This is character assassination, not relevant to the current petition." "It establishes a pattern of behavior," James countered. "The petitioner has done this before." The judge allowed Jenna to continue. She described the documents she had, the emails, the evidence of planning and manipulation. The courtroom was silent, except for her voice. Then Jenna mentioned Madison's recent online purchases. Books about making deaths look natural, chemicals that could cause medical symptoms, internet searches about conservatorship laws, and expedited probate. Madison stood up suddenly. "This is insane. My sister is mentally ill. She has delusions about me. She has been in psychiatric treatment." "Is that true?" the judge asked Jenna. "No, Your Honor. I have never been in psychiatric treatment. My sister is lying." "This is outrageous," Madison said, her voice rising. "Are we really going to entertain these fantasies?" Judge Morrison's eyes narrowed. "Miss Sullivan, please sit down. You will have a chance to respond." "During the recess, I went to the bathroom. I was washing my hands when Madison came in. We were alone." "You think you are so smart," Madison hissed. "You think Jenna's little testimony matters? I will destroy both of you." I turned to face her. "I am not afraid of you anymore. You should be. After this hearing, I am going to make your life a nightmare." "And Jenna? She has no idea what I am capable of. Maybe she needs to have an accident too." I had my new phone in my jacket pocket, recording. Every word captured. Madison grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. "I will get that trust money. I will get everything. And you will die confused and alone in a nursing home, just like I planned. You are just a stupid, ridiculous old woman who never saw me coming." I pulled away. "I saw you. I see exactly what you are." When we returned to the courtroom, the judge reconvened. James called me to the stand. I testified about Sunday morning, the drugging, the hair removal, the cruel note. About finding the messages on Madison's phone detailing her plans. Madison's attorney cross-examined me. "Mrs. Sullivan, is it possible you experienced a reaction to medication that caused hair loss, and in your confusion, you imagined the note?" "No. I found the empty bottles of hair removal cream." "Do you have these bottles?" I hesitated. "No, they were thrown away." "So we have no physical evidence, just your word against my client's." I photographed the messages on her phone. "Do you have these photographs?" Madison took my phone before I could show anyone. The attorney smiled sadly, as if I had proven his point. I sounded paranoid, even to my own ears. Claims with no evidence. Then James played the recording from the courthouse bathroom. Madison's voice, clear and threatening. "You will die confused and alone in a nursing home, just like I planned." The courtroom erupted. Madison jumped to her feet. "That recording is illegal. She cannot use that." "Your Honor," James said calmly, "California is a two-party consent state, but there is an exception when one party has reasonable suspicion of a felony being committed. Elder abuse, fraud, and conspiracy to commit murder are all felonies." Judge Morrison called for order. Madison was screaming now, her beautiful mask completely shattered. "You stupid old witch! I had everything planned perfectly. You were supposed to sign those papers." Her attorney was trying to quiet her, but Madison had lost all control. "That money should be mine. I earned it dealing with your pathetic son and your ridiculous family. You were supposed to die quietly." Timothy was standing up, his face shocked and pale. "Madison, what are you saying?" "Oh, shut up, Timothy," Madison snarled. "You are the most boring man I have ever met. You were just a means to an end. I never loved you. I can barely stand to look at you." The judge called for courthouse security. But Madison was not done. Years of careful planning, of maintaining a perfect facade, all crumbled in spectacular fashion. "I should have just killed you Sunday night," she shouted at me. Why wait? I could have burned your house down with you in it, made it look like you fell asleep with a candle lit. That was plan B anyway. Police officers entered the courtroom. A detective I did not recognize approached the judge. Your Honor, we have been investigating Miss Palmer for 6 months in connection with the death of an elderly woman in Sacramento. This testimony gives us probable cause. We have warrants ready. Madison's eyes went wild. She tried to run. Security grabbed her. She fought them, screaming obscenities, all composure gone. Within an hour, she was arrested. Charges, including elder abuse, fraud, attempted murder, forgery, and conspiracy. The detective told me they had already searched Madison's apartment based on the warrants. They found detailed plans for my accident, including a timeline. I had 3 weeks at most before she planned to kill me. Timothy sat in the hallway outside the courtroom, his head in his hands. Diane sat with him. I approached slowly. Mom, Timothy whispered, I am so sorry. I did not believe you. I chose her over you. I sat beside my son. She was very skilled at manipulation. I was supposed to protect you. Instead, I brought a monster into our family. He looked up at me, tears streaming down his face. How could I not see it? She was planning to kill you. My own wife was planning to murder my mother. The marriage can be annulled, James said gently, joining us. It was based on fraud. She married you under false pretenses with criminal intent. Timothy nodded numbly. I loved her. At least, I thought I did. Was any of it real? No, I said softly. None of it was real for her. But your feelings were real. You will need time to heal from this. The competency petition was dismissed immediately. The forged power of attorney was thrown out. Judge Morrison apologized to me for what I had endured. Jenna approached me as we left the courthouse. Thank you for believing me, for letting me help. I hugged her. Thank you for being brave enough to speak up. You saved my life. The next few days were a blur of police interviews, legal proceedings, and media attention. The story was everywhere. Bride arrested at own wedding, Black Widow plot uncovered, woman planned murder of mother-in-law for inheritance. My phone rang constantly. Friends calling to apologize, to express shock. The members of Willow Creek Country Club fell over themselves to make amends. Dr. Roberts came to my house personally to apologize for being deceived, but all I felt was exhausted and sad. Timothy moved back into his childhood bedroom temporarily. He was hollow, moving through days like a ghost. He barely ate. He did not sleep well. The betrayal had shattered something fundamental in him. We sat together on the back porch one evening, watching the sunset over my gardens. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Finally, Timothy said, I told you to leave your own son's wedding. I chose a woman I had known for 2 years over the mother who raised me. How do you forgive something like that? You were manipulated, I said. She was an expert. That is an excuse. I should have trusted you. I should have at least investigated your claims instead of dismissing them. I saw you bald and humiliated, and I told you not to cause drama. His voice broke. What kind of son does that? A human one. A son who thought he was in love. Timothy, holding on to this guilt will destroy you. Madison wanted to destroy our family. Dawn not let her win by tearing yourself apart. He leaned his head on my shoulder like he used to as a child. I loved her, Mom. Or I loved who I thought she was. How do I trust anyone again? I did not have an answer for that. Trust, once shattered, takes time to rebuild. If it can be rebuilt at all. Diane visited every day. She brought food, cleaned the house, tried to keep our spirits up, but I could see the anger in her eyes. She wanted justice, wanted Madison to suffer. She almost succeeded, Diane said one afternoon. A few more weeks, and you would be dead. And we would have believed it was natural causes or an accident. We would have comforted Timothy and never known his wife murdered you. The thought haunted all of us. How close we had come. How perfectly Madison had planned it. The prosecutor assigned to the case, A sharp woman named Amanda Harris kept me updated. Madison was being held without bail. The evidence against her was overwhelming. The text messages to Ashley, which police had recovered from phone records, the supplies she had purchased, the forged documents, and most damning, my recording of her confession in the courthouse bathroom. She will go to prison for a very long time, Amanda assured me. We are building an airtight case. But prison did not feel like enough. Madison had stolen months of my peace, nearly destroyed my relationship with my son, and tried to take my life. How do you put a price on that? 2 weeks after the courthouse arrest, Jenna visited me. She looked healthier, some color returning to her face. The fear that had haunted her eyes was fading. The police talked to me for hours, she said. About our grandmother, about Madison's history. They think there may be other victims they do not know about. How are you doing? Jenna smiled sadly. Better. Scared still, but better. Madison called me from jail. She threatened me, told me I would pay for betraying her. But the prosecutor said those calls are recorded and will be used as evidence. I want to help you, I said. You gave up your relationship with your family to save me. That took tremendous courage. My parents do not believe me yet, Jenna admitted. They think Madison is innocent, that I am lying for attention. But eventually they will see the truth. Eventually everyone sees Madison for what she really is. Over the next few weeks, Jenna and I grew close. She reminded me of Diane at that age. Smart, kind, stronger than she realized. I offered to pay for her to return to college, which she had left years ago. She cried and accepted. I want to study social work, she said. Help other people recognize manipulation and abuse. So what happened to our grandmother, and almost happened to you, does not happen to others. Progress on Madison's case moved steadily forward. More evidence emerged. Ashley, Madison's friend who had received the text messages, cut a deal with prosecutors. She testified that Madison had bragged about her plans, called it the perfect crime. Madison said old people die all the time, Ashley told investigators. She said no one questions when an elderly person falls downstairs or has a medication error. She was cocky about how easy it was to manipulate families. The trial was scheduled for 6 months out. I would have to testify, relive everything, but I was ready. I wanted to face Madison in court and show her she had not broken me. One evening, about a month after the courthouse incident, Timothy came to find me in Richard's study. I was looking at old photo albums. Is that Dad's college graduation? Timothy asked, sitting beside me. Yes. He was so handsome, so full of dreams. I touched Richard's face in the photograph. I wish he were here. He would know what to say to you. He would know how to help you heal. Mom, I have been thinking. I need to go away for a while. Take some time to figure out who I am without Madison's voice in my head. I started seeing a therapist, and she thinks it would help. Where will you go? Aunt Patricia offered me her cabin in Oregon, just for a few months. Time to think, to hike, to be quiet. I wanted to hold on to him, keep him close where I knew he was safe. But I understood. Sometimes healing requires solitude. That sounds good, I said. Take the time you need. He hugged me. I love you, Mom. I am sorry it took almost losing you for me to remember that you have always, always been there for me. Madison's trial began on a cold morning in January. The courtroom was packed with media, curious onlookers, and our family. Timothy had returned from Oregon, thinner but steadier. Diane sat on one side of me, Jenna on the other. Madison was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit, her hair pulled back severely. She looked at me with pure hatred. No more masks, no more pretense, just raw malice. The prosecution laid out their case methodically. They presented the evidence, the text messages, the forged documents, the recording of Madison's confession. Witness after witness testified. Ashley took the stand, explaining how Madison had confided in her. She said Ophelia Sullivan was worth nearly $300 million. She said getting rid of the old woman was the only obstacle to having everything. Medical experts testified about the chemicals Madison purchased, explaining how they could be used to cause symptoms mimicking natural medical events: strokes, heart attacks, confusion. A forensic document examiner confirmed the power of attorney signature was forged. Security footage from stores showed Madison purchasing hair removal cream and sedatives in the days before the wedding. The prosecutor built a picture of systematic, calculated elder abuse and attempted murder. Madison's defense attorney tried to create reasonable doubt, but the evidence was overwhelming. Then came the testimony from other victims. A man whose elderly father had befriended Madison 5 years ago. The father died of a sudden stroke shortly after changing his will to include Madison. The son had always been suspicious, but could not prove anything. A woman whose wealthy aunt had employed Madison as a companion. The aunt died falling downstairs. Madison had inherited a significant amount. 3 separate cases, all with the same pattern. Judge Morrison allowed the testimony as evidence of a scheme or plan. When it was my turn to testify, I walked to the stand with my head high. I wore a simple gray suit. My hair had grown back in short silver waves. I had decided to keep it short, own the look that Madison had tried to humiliate me with. I told my story chronologically. Waking up bald. The cruel note. Madison's gaslighting. The courthouse confession. I stayed calm, factual. Let the events speak for themselves. Madison's attorney cross-examined me. Mrs. Sullivan, is it true you initially planned to transfer $120 million to my client and your son? Yes. So you trusted her at one point? I trusted the person I thought she was. That person did not exist. She was a character Madison played to manipulate my son and gain access to my money. You have a lot of money, Mrs. Sullivan. Could this all be about you not wanting to share your wealth with your son's wife? I looked directly at Madison. If she had been a good person, truly loved my son, I would have given her everything gladly. But she did not love Timothy. She said so herself, on recording. He was boring to her. A means to an end. She never cared about him or me. Only about our money. The attorney had no response to that. Jenna testified about our grandmother, about Madison's history. She was stronger now, more confident. Madison tried to stare her down, but Jenna did not flinch. My sister has no conscience, Jenna said clearly. She sees vulnerable people as targets. Elderly people with money, with families who love them. She inserts herself, turns the family against the victim, then eliminates them. She has done it before. She would have done it to Mrs. Sullivan, and she would have done it again to someone else if she were not stopped. The jury listened intently. I watched their faces. They believed Jenna. They believed the evidence. Madison's defense rested on trying to portray her as a misunderstood woman, a victim of circumstance. But there were too many victims, too much evidence, too much of Madison's own words condemning her. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The jury deliberated for 2 days. When they returned, the verdict was read. Guilty on all counts: elder abuse, fraud, attempted murder, conspiracy, forgery. Madison showed no emotion as the verdict was read. But when the judge asked if she had anything to say before sentencing, she stood up. I regret nothing, Madison said coldly, except getting caught. Old people are weak. They deserve what happens to them. I am smarter than all of you. I would have succeeded if that pathetic old woman had not gotten lucky. Even her own attorney looked shocked. Judge Morrison's face hardened. Miss Palmer, in my 30 years on the bench, I have never encountered a defendant with less remorse or more contempt for human life. Your actions were calculated, cruel, and entirely self-serving. You targeted vulnerable elderly people for their money. You destroyed families. You very nearly committed murder. The judge sentenced her to 25 years in prison, 25 years for the attempted murder of me, additional time for the fraud and elder abuse charges. She would be in her 50s before being eligible for parole. As they led Madison away, she looked back at me one more time. "You ruined my life," she said. "No," I replied quietly. "You ruined your own life the moment you chose to hurt innocent people." The courtroom cleared slowly. Media wanted statements, but I declined. Amanda Harris, the prosecutor, shook my hand. "You were incredibly strong through all of this. I hope you can find peace now." Outside the courthouse, my family gathered around me. Timothy, Diane, Patricia, Jenna, people who truly loved me, who had stood by me. "It is over," Diane said, squeezing my hand. "Yes," I agreed. "It is finally over." The months following Madison's conviction were about rebuilding. Slowly, carefully, my family healed. Timothy stayed in Oregon for 6 more months. He worked with his therapist, processing the betrayal and his own role in what happened. When he returned, he was different. Quieter, more thoughtful, but also stronger. He had learned hard lessons about seeing people clearly, about not ignoring red flags just because someone was attractive or attentive. "I fell in love with a fantasy," he told me one evening. "I ignored the inconsistencies, the little moments when Madison's mask slipped. I wanted so badly to believe she was perfect that I made her perfect in my mind." "We all do that sometimes," I said. "Love can blind us. What matters is that you learned from it." A year after the trial, Timothy started dating again. He met Susan, an elementary school teacher with kind eyes and a genuine laugh. She was not glamorous like Madison. She was real. When Timothy brought her to meet me, I knew immediately that this was different. "It is nice to meet you, Mrs. Sullivan," Susan said warmly. "Timothy has told me so much about you. What you went through, how strong you are." We had dinner together, the 3 of us. Susan asked about my life, my interests. She listened when I spoke. She treated Timothy with respect and obvious affection. When she left, Timothy asked nervously, "What do you think?" "I think she is lovely," I said honestly. "More importantly, what do you think?" "I think I could love her," Timothy said. "Really love her. Not the obsessive way I felt about Madison, but something quieter and deeper." "Is that strange?" "That is exactly how it should be," I told him. 2 years after the nightmare of Madison began, Timothy and Susan married. It was a small ceremony in my garden, just close family and friends. I walked Timothy down the aisle this time, both of us acknowledging how much we had been through together. There was no drama, no expensive venue, no hidden agendas, just 2 people who genuinely loved each other, making a commitment. I cried happy tears this time. Diane had been my rock throughout everything. She visited constantly, made sure I was eating, sleeping, processing the trauma. We grew closer than we had been in years. "I should have believed you immediately," she said once, "when you told me what Madison did. You believed me when it mattered most," I assured her. "That is what counts." Jenna became like another daughter to me. She finished her undergraduate degree in social work, then went on to get her master's. She now works with Adult Protective Services, helping identify and stop elder abuse. She has saved countless seniors from situations like mine. "You changed my life," she told me on the day she graduated. "You showed me that speaking up, even when you are terrified, can save lives." "You saved mine first," I reminded her. I restructured my entire estate plan with James Sullivan's help. The trust I had planned to give Timothy was revised with strong safeguards and oversight. Timothy would inherit, but through carefully designed mechanisms that protected both him and the assets. I also set up a foundation dedicated to preventing elder abuse. We fund education programs, support services for victims, and research into recognizing and stopping financial exploitation of seniors. The Ophelia and Richard Sullivan Foundation for Elder Protection. It was the best use I could think of for our wealth. My hair never grew back the same. It came in shorter, curlier, completely silver. For a while, I was self-conscious about it. Then one day, a woman at the country club stopped me. "I love your hair," she said. "It is so bold and elegant. I wish I had the courage to go that short." I realized Madison had tried to humiliate me, but instead, she had freed me. I stopped trying to maintain the careful highlights. the regular salon appointments to hide gray. I owned my age, owned my silver hair, owned everything I had survived. Other women started cutting their hair shorter too. It became a small movement at the country club, embracing our age instead of fighting it. The civil suits came next. Madison had no assets, but I sued anyway, establishing legal judgment against her. Other victims and their families joined. The goal was not money, but justice, a legal record of what she had done. Madison remained in prison. I heard through Amanda Harris that she was not adjusting well. She tried to manipulate other inmates, tried to charm guards. It did not work. People in prison saw through her quickly. She had decades ahead of her to sit with what she had done. I did not waste energy hating her. Hate would have poisoned me, would have let her win in a different way. Instead, I focused on healing, on helping others, on rebuilding my family's trust and peace. 3 years after everything happened, I hosted Thanksgiving at my home. The dining room table was extended to its full length. Timothy and Susan were there, along with their baby daughter Emma, my first grandchild, Diane and her family, Patricia and her husband, Jenna and her new boyfriend, James Sullivan and his wife, Dr. Roberts, who had apologized so profusely that I forgave him, even Gloria, my former housekeeper, who had been genuinely remorseful about testifying against me. The table was full of laughter, warmth, genuine love. This was my real family. These were people who had proven themselves, who had stood by me or made amends. We had been through fire together and emerged stronger. After dinner, Timothy stood up with a wine glass. I want to make a toast. To my mother, the strongest woman I know. You survived something that would have destroyed most people. You fought back when everyone doubted you. You saved not just yourself but probably countless others by stopping Madison. And through it all, you showed us what real strength looks like. Not loud or showy, but quiet and determined. Mom, I love you. I am sorry I ever doubted you, and I am grateful every single day that you are still here. Everyone raised their glasses. To Ophelia, they said together. I looked around at all these faces, at baby Emma sleeping in Susan's arms, at the life I had rebuilt, and I felt something I had not felt in years. Complete peace. Later, after everyone had left, I sat in Richard's study. His photo smiled at me from the desk. We did it, I told him quietly. We built something good, and I protected it. I wish you were here to meet Susan, to meet Emma, but I think you would be proud of how I handled all of this. The moonlight came through the window, illuminating the room. I thought about that terrible Sunday morning, waking up bald and humiliated. At the time, it felt like the end of the world. Now I understood it was a beginning. A harsh, painful beginning, but one that ultimately saved my life. Madison thought she could destroy me. She thought age made me weak, vulnerable, an easy target. She was wrong. Age had given me wisdom, resilience, resources, and the ability to recognize my own strength. I learned that trust must be earned slowly, not given freely. I learned that when your instincts tell you something is wrong, you should investigate rather than dismiss those feelings. I learned that manipulation works by isolating victims, making them doubt themselves, turning their support systems against them. And I learned that fighting back, even when everyone doubts you, is always worth it. The scars remained. Timothy still struggled sometimes with trust issues. I still had nightmares occasionally about waking up bald, about the helpless feeling of watching Madison steal my credibility. But we were healing. Day by day, moment by moment, we were building something better than what we had before. The truth is, sometimes the worst betrayals become the greatest teachers. They strip away illusions and force you to see clearly. They reveal your true strength and show you who genuinely loves you. They hurt terribly, but they also refine you, shape you into someone stronger. Madison spent 25 years in prison. I spent those years surrounded by real love, watching my grandchildren grow up, helping other seniors avoid what I went through, living fully and without fear. In the end, I won. Not just in the legal sense, though that mattered. I won because I refused to let betrayal turn me bitter. I won because I rebuilt trust carefully with people who deserved it. I won because I used my pain to help others. I won because I am still here, still standing, still strong. My hair grew back in short silver curls that caught the light beautifully. I like to think of it as my crown, earned through survival, through fighting back, through refusing to be diminished by someone else's cruelty. If you are watching this and you know someone elderly who is being isolated, controlled, or manipulated, please speak up. Elder abuse is more common than people realize. Predators like Madison rely on silence, on families dismissing concerns, on society underestimating older adults. And if you are someone facing a situation where everyone doubts you, where you feel gaslighted and alone, remember this. Trust yourself. Your instincts exist for a reason. Document everything. Find allies. Keep fighting. The truth always emerges eventually, even when it takes time. Sometimes the people who try to destroy us end up revealing our greatest strength. Madison tried to take everything from me. Instead, she showed me exactly what I was made of. And that, in the end, was her greatest failure and my greatest victory. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you or someone you know ever faced manipulation or gaslighting in a relationship? How did you recognize what was happening? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might help someone else who is going through something similar. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like. It helps more people find it. Subscribe to hear more stories about real people facing difficult situations and finding their strength. And share this with anyone who might need to hear it. Anyone who might be doubting themselves or facing a manipulative situation. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for bearing witness to what I went through and celebrating the victory with me. I hope you carry this message forward. You are stronger than you know. Age does not diminish you, and it is never too late to fight back against injustice. May you trust your instincts, surround yourself with people who truly love you, and never let anyone convince you that you are less than you are. Stay strong, stay aware, and always remember that the truth, no matter how long it takes, will set you free.